see if it. All right. We will. Here they come. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. We'll give it a few minutes to see if give other folks a chance to jump on. Aiden, so far there's a total of 60 folks signed up to be at this, so we'll, like I said, we'll give it a few minutes and let everybody get connected up.
Sounds good.
Those of you that are already here, and we'll go over this again, if you have questions throughout this, go ahead and use the Q&A function in your Zoom app, and we're going to watch those throughout throughout the evening and answer questions as we go along. I think we'll wait until about 7:05, and then we'll go ahead and we'll start. All right. We don't have everybody here yet, but we got a bunch, so we'll go ahead and we'll get started. First things first, everybody, welcome to the 2024 Pre-Camp Leaders Meeting for Camp Excalibur at Camp Edward coming up this summer. Program for Cub Scouts. there along the bottom, lions who can come for the day, just not overnight, and then tigers, wolves, and bears. And then Webelos and AOLs this year have an option. They can come to Excalibur, or they can go to Webelo and AOL camp over at Camp Piggott earlier in the summer. So we'll go ahead and move right along to the next slide. We've welcomed everybody here. We'll do some introductions. I'm Don Bader, your camp director. With me is Aidan Hennekens, our program director for this summer. And we'll talk a little bit about the meeting format tonight. This is a webinar, so if you have questions throughout the presentation, please use the Q&A function. Chat is disabled, as are video and audio for webinar participants while we go through this meeting. But the Q&A is open. We are watching that actively, and we will go ahead and answer your questions either right away, or, you know, if we don't answer right away, it may just be because we're going to cover what you've asked about a little bit later in the presentation. And then at the end, we'll go through and we'll check to make sure that we've gotten everything, and we'll go ahead and we'll finish up that way. So the agenda tonight, we'll do an overview. We've done the introduction, talk a little bit about our leadership, talk about some things that are available on the council website. The leader's guide, let me pause here real quick. That is now available. That went out via Tentaroo. It did have some errors that were pointed out to me on page 6. Thank you for that. Those have been fixed. So this QR code right here don't click the link. It's going to take you to the old one. But the QR code will take you to the updated one, which will also go out here shortly via Tentaroo if it hasn't gone out already. So that is ready to go. All the information that you need in addition to this meeting is included in that guide. We'll talk about some things to remember, how to get here. We'll show you a sample of our schedule and rotations and stuff for this season. We'll talk about medical forms, and all of that is for 2024 summer camp this year. And then again, at the end, we'll try and catch up on questions and make sure that you feel good about having the knowledge you need for the camp. All right, our Camp Edward leadership. Myself, of course, the camp director. That is my phone number here at camp and my email address. Feel free to email me anything you need, questions, whatever that might be. Then we have Aidan, our program director. That's his email address right there. And Ethan is not with us tonight. Ethan's our assistant program director, but there is his phone number and email, and he will probably pop in here later on during the presentation. He is currently stuck in I-5 on his way home to Bellingham this evening. So hopefully we'll get to see him tonight. What am I doing? Whoop, sorry guys. All right. So I want to move in real quick and just talk about check-in when you arrive at camp. That'll be pretty much exactly like it was last year. We'll screen your medical forms when you arrive, and we do ask that if you're feeling ill, don't come to camp. Let us know that you're feeling ill, and we'll work with you to see if we can fit you in elsewhere in a different session if that works for you, but there are options. We'll assign arrival times just like we did last year by campsite, and we'll communicate those to you via email a week ahead of your session. That'll go, it says to the person who made the reservation, I'll explain that a little bit. If you signed up yourself on Tentaroo, you will get that notification of when to come to camp. I try to hit every adult who is registered for every session. And then, of course, if you're a pack coordinator and you went ahead and you signed up everybody in your pack, you'll get that notification. And then we ask that you disseminate that information out to everybody who's going to come. Those emails contain quite a bit of information. We ask that you arrive on time. Try not to arrive any more than 10 minutes ahead of your check-in time. If you do arrive really early, chances are we'll need to have you wait at the parking lot until you're assigned time slot. Sometimes we can get you in a bit early, not always. It just kind of depends on how big the crowd is that we're dealing with at that moment. Your check-in will take place in the parking lot, and then late arrivals that miss their time may need to wait until everybody's checked in That's really only ever happened one time. If you get here a bit late, we will try to accommodate you as soon as we can. We'll meet you at your vehicle and direct you to the check-in table. We ask that only the person who made the reservation approach the table. Now, if it's just yourself and your one child, we don't expect you to leave your child unattended in the parking lot. They can go ahead and come up to that table with you. But if you're a large group with a whole bunch of adults, we ask that scouts kind of wait away from the table just to help alleviate noise and crowding so we can make sure to be accurate in your check-in. At that table, we'll sign you into camp. We'll collect any remaining balances that may be due. We'll then lead you to your campsite, and that'll be done by your campsite host. And we assist you in moving any gear to your campsite, the bigger stuff. So while you're checking in, during that slot of time that we've assigned you guys to check in, we'll have our big camp truck in the parking lot. If you've been here before, you'll be familiar with this. We'll help you load everything from your vehicles, big things, tents, stoves, whatever that might be, onto that truck. And then the truck will leave just ahead of your group and get to your campsite so that when you get there, that truck is there. And we will help unload right at the entrance to your campsite. And that way you don't have to haul heavy things into camp. Just a note, we do come around at scheduled times on the last day to load those things up, and we drop them back off in the parking lot with a sign that has your campsite name on it so that you know where your items are when you get to the parking lot and you're ready to load up and head home. Medical form screening happens in your campsite. You'll need to remain in your site until the tour begins. So kind of the way that works is they get you to your site, we unload that gear, you start to bring that in. Shortly thereafter, our health officer will show up in your campsite where they will then take your forms from you. You'll have them with you up until that point. He'll take your forms, he'll look those over, talk with you about any issues or meds or whatever, what have you. And once he's done with that, he issues your swim tags and everything. And then we do the tour. And as part of that tour, we have our camp swim checks. We're going to move into dining hall service. We serve meals at Camp Edward family style at the table. Every campsite sends one waiter per table. So if you have a large campsite, you may have 2 or 3 tables. You would then need 2 or 3 waiters. It's helpful if an adult accompanies those waiter scouts to the dining hall and helps them out. These kids will help set tables and bring the food out before people get there. They also stay after the meal for a short time to help clear those tables, bring the dishes up to the window, and then they're dismissed. So we kind of suggest that people go ahead and alternate that duty so different kids have it throughout the week. Our staff, we have staff members there as well to kind of help guide and manage that. This year, food services provided by a professional food service company. This is a first-time thing for us. They're a large company that does camp catering and food service across the country. They have quite the menu, lots of variety, nutritious. They're well-versed in providing for dietary needs. They actually have specialty cooks that are trained in that. They understand things like cross-contamination and how to make sure that it doesn't happen. Yeah, we're real excited about this. We think it's going to work out real well. Alternatives for those who have special dietary needs will be available, not at a salad bar per se. That's something that they suggested, but if that changes, we'll let you know here at camp. Generally, what I think is going to happen is they'll have you, if you have a special need, they'll have you come through the serving line in the kitchen and pick up your alternative meal. But we'll need to know about your dietary restrictions well ahead of time in order to make sure that we can adequately serve your needs. A little bit later on, I'm going to give you instructions on exactly how to report those needs to camp. It's actually pretty simple, but it helps to kind of see it laid out. I can't stress enough how important it is that we need to get this information ahead of time. It'll be a couple of weeks ahead that we need that. So we had a question about how do I find out how many tables we have? Ethan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we put 10 people at a table. Is that correct? Or is it 12? think it's 10.
I think it's 8.
It's 8.
I think it's
All right,
eight. 8 per
plan
table.
on
Or
plan
per
on 8
bench.
or per bench. So plan
Yeah.
on eight per table. Sometimes we do 10 if we're real crowded, but plan on 8,
Yeah.
and then you'll be able to figure out kind of an accurate number based on the size of your
We
group.
also count staff into those tables, so you'll have staff sitting at the tables.
Right.
So it might be 7. So depending on the table, depending on how many staff we have, how many scouts we have, and depending on how big your group is. Uh, yep.
Cool. All right. Okay, like I said, our caterer is well versed in special diets. They can accommodate vegan, vegetarian, gluten free, and many food allergy situations. Like I said, they're trained in avoiding cross contamination. I need to add that the health department and the food code, along with ServSafe regulations, do not allow us to have anybody in that kitchen other than food service staff. Especially, I mean, you can come up through the serving area, but the preparatory areas, which are behind that serving counter, we can't have anybody in there unless they're properly certified to be in there. So that can create a situation for folks that have a requirement to prepare their meals themselves. Um, Plan to bring equipment such as stoves so that you can do that in your campsite if you want to do bigger stuff. We do try and have a small area off to the side that's got a microwave and a smaller fridge and freezer for your use if you need to self-prepare. But again, if you need to do that, it's helpful if I have that information a couple weeks ahead so we can make sure and plan for your needs. And then finally, here at the bottom, Camp Edward and all of our Chief Seattle Council camps, that's here, that's Piggott, that's Parsons, across the way, that's Bonaparte, Fife, Summit, Scout, all of them have peanut-free kitchens. We do not cook peanuts in our kitchen. We don't have peanut product in our kitchen. We do not allow groups that utilize our kitchens in the off-season to cook product that has peanut in them. And that's a safety measure, of course, obviously, but know that going in. I should add, though, that in our trading posts, we do have snacks that have those items in there. So if you have a severe peanut allergy, be aware of that. They're all sealed things. Um, they're not exposed, but those do exist in the trading post. All right, I'll move into our 2024 daily schedule samples. And again, this is a sample. It's pretty close, but there's always a chance it'll change. We'll have copies of the final one when you arrive as well. All right, I'll leave this up for just a little bit. This schedule, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it lines out your entire day.
Yeah, so Camp Edward, our main program revolves around rotations, and we'll also show you a rotation schedule. But they're just assigned areas that you will go during the day. And so you'll go to each area and camp at least once with your group. And those are what the rotation 1 through rotation 9 is. Um, as well, in our program, we have uh, free times where your scouts can go to whatever area they'd like and spend time in that area. Some other events that we have going on are a opening campfire where we'll have the whole camp gather at the campfire bowl and the staff will do skits and songs that are really fun for the scouts. The other 2 nights are a campsite fire and then a friendship campfire. Um, for a camp-wide event, we have our Chief Joe race. It is a relay race that scouts will run to a station, do a certain task, and then hand their baton off to the next person to go to the next station. It's really fun. Campsites can have multiple teams, so we encourage all scouts who want to participate. Should be able to. And so you can combine campsites, whatever you need to do to fill out those teams. Uh, and it's really fun. Yep, 1 cubit long
That's
of the
right.
scouts. Uh, so it turns
One
out
kilo long.
we do a relay race over at Piggott as well, and those batons tend to be much longer, just because who knows why? I don't really know why, but yeah, it's really fun. You get to make the baton throughout the week. There's also a best baton award at the end of the week. So it's a joy to see all the beautiful batons that groups have made.
Yeah. Somebody got the 1 cubit long, but nobody typed in all caps. Oh
Oh
yeah, we must
yeah,
have all new people here tonight, huh?
yeah.
It's all good. I'll move into there. Oh, 1 cubit long. Well, that's not what we're trying to do, Alan. Let's see. Um, I'm going to move over to kind of the rotation schedule. Now, I had to stretch this to make it fit, so I apologize in advance. This is kind of hard on the eyes, but Aiden, wow, I can't speak, guys. If you want to kind of explain how this works.
Yeah, so this is just a beautiful matrix on where you will be at what times for what rotations. And all of the rotations are labeled with a letter as well as a location and what you are doing. So our Scout Craft area, our Scout Skills area has two activities that they run. They run a cooking activity as well as a knots activity. So you will be at the Scoutcraft area twice, and you'll do those two activities. So it'll tell you the rotation. And then at the bottom there, it says rotation number. So we do rotations by campsite. So your entire campsite will go to a certain uh, rotation and do that activity, and then you'll go to the next one. So you can see um, it says, I think that says Silver. Oh, I can't read that. Silver Peak.
Silver Peak.
Silver Peak. So Silver Peak goes to cooking, then to BBs, then to knot tying, then to craft project, et cetera and et cetera throughout the week. So it'll show you where to go. We try to set up the rotations so that there's not a um, really long distance that you have to walk between rotations if they're one after another. Um, but sometimes there has to be a little hike because just that's just how it works with going from climbing to cooking. So
Hey, let me segue on that just a little bit. You mentioned Silver Peak. That's one of our campsites. This year, I don't know why they didn't do this when they remodeled and built Camp Edward. We used to be Camp Brinkley. But anyway, this year we have changed the name of all of our campsites in camp. They are all named after historic Chief Seattle camps or camping programs that are no longer around. And then in your campsite, there'll be there's a little historical sheet that talks about what your campsite is named after. So just a new thing to remember. When we put out signups this year for summer camp, we went ahead and listed all the sites with their former names just to kind of help with any confusion. But you'll see these new names here at the bottom of this particular page, right? Silver Peak, Bacchus, Frederick, Werner, Wildcat, Coupler, Blue Ox, and Hopkins. Those are our new campsites.
awesome.
Real quick, I have a question. What are the logistics for someone visiting family for one day? Very, very simple. Let us know a day or two ahead of time that you want to do that. And then when you get here, go ahead and just check in at our office. We'll put you in contact with your group. If you can give me more lead time, that's great. With our food contractor this year, I have to have counts to them. I'll try to buffer it a little bit. But if I have, 20 people show up to visit family and they all want lunch, that may pose a problem. So the earlier I know, the better. But simple answer, when you get here, go ahead and check in with us, and we'll get you connected up with your kids.
Yeah. They need a part A and B as well, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. I forgot that. If you're coming to camp to visit, even for one day, you need a medical form Part A and Part B that's current, and we'll keep it on file while you're here. We'll give it back when you check out.
Yeah. And if you happen to not bring one, we can always print it out, but it makes it a lot faster and easier if you just have it in hand once you get to the office.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Next slide. So Aiden, if you want to, real quick before we do that, our med form's just A, B, or A, B, and C. I'm going to get to this a little bit later on. Quick short answer, A and B are all that's required. We recommend a C, but we'll go over this in a little more detail here shortly. All right, Aiden, if you can go over kind of some of our advancement opportunities, maybe some of the adventures we're going to do at camp that we know now, maybe talk about all these different things in the list, that would be wonderful.
So for some of you that may know, advancements changing up quite a bit, and that means some change to our program. One awesome thing is that you and your pack will have your own set of required adventures that you'll do, and camp has a lot of adventures that aren't necessarily required but still fit into the us being able to provide them at camp. So they won't they won't overlap with your Cub program at the pack level.
We don't want to negatively affect your pack program or take away from that.
Mhm.
So that's kind of what we're
Yeah.
talking.
The purpose of the our camp is to support the pack level program as well, so that coincides with this advancement change. And so we will see a lot of the similar advancements, like the ones in the swimming area, like crafting ones, like knots and things like that. But we'll have a much more specific. Here's the advancement. Each year we give pack leaders sheets for tracking advancement. We'll do a similar thing this year, but it'll just be a whole bunch of new ones that we're offering. Um, so
We refer
yeah.
to that as a Cub passport.
Mm-hmm. And so you'll be able to track what advancement your Cubs do and where they go, and it'll be very helpful by the end of the week as your Cubs do many things. A lot of advancement isn't necessarily done during the rotation times. Some of the advancement is done during the free times and is done via a sign up sheet. Um, One thing that isn't advancement but is a sign up sheet that you might want to start thinking about for your older Cub Scouts is our metal casting at the fort. We do that with older Cub Scouts who sign up, and they carve a cool foam block and they get that cast with some metal. So that's one cool advancement. That is a sign up that we'll go over more once you're at camp on how to do that. Um, we talked about campsite campfires and friendship campfire. The friendship campfire is just where you invite another campsite to join you, and you can do skits and songs that you may know, and it's very fun. It is a part of the Edward J. Perry Award, and this is kind of an honor pack award where you'll do certain tasks throughout the week, and if you complete all those tasks, then you will get the award at our award ceremony at the end of the week. Some of those are raising and lowering a flag in the campsite, participating in our song in the dining hall that we do, as well as doing going to chapel or doing your own chapel in your campsite. Um, as well, the biggest thing that we haven't really talked about much, you see it on the slides. We are a theme camp. Our theme this year is Excalibur. So some fun stuff to come. We'll all be in costume. We'll all have it'll be decorated in Excalibur theme. So it'll be a real fun time for the younger scouts.
All right.
We have a question here.
We do, yeah, real quick. Hey, Ethan made it. Welcome, Ethan. Everybody, this is Ethan Fleming, our assistant program director. Go ahead, Aiden, with the question. It was about Whitland
With
chip.
the recent changes, all scouts need to earn the whittling chip every year. Will the scouts be able to earn this during camp to be able to use their pocket knives? Yes, we'll have opportunities for your scouts to earn the whittling chip.
All right. I'm gonna. Aiden mentioned that we're a theme camp, so our staff are in theme costume. If your scouts would like to bring a Excalibur medieval type thing to wear, that would be cool too. That's totally okay. but don't have it include a bunch of weapons that they're running around with. Yeah, we want to try to avoid that. Okay, I promised we'd talk a little bit about health and medical forms. I'll go ahead and do that now. We use the BSA Annual Health and Medical Record Form, AMH or AHMR. Just look at this real quick.
It's about flags being checked out.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yep.
So parts A, B1, and B2 of this form are required to attend camp. Basically, A is a permission form. B1 and B2, which we refer to as Part B, is kind of a health history. Important on that is your vaccination information. It's got to be current and it needs to be accurate. We ask that you include actual dates. A lot of times people will write on there current, and we're not allowed to accept it that way. What you can do here, this next bullet point, you can attach a doctor's vaccination record or a school vaccination record form to your AHMR form. That does work. That will have all of the dates on it that we need. Uh-oh, we lost him. Well, he'll be back. Our program is under 72 hours from the time the program actually starts on Thursday until it ends on Sunday. And because of that, Part C isn't required. However, we really recommend that you get that Part C signed by a doctor and submit it anyway. It's just good practice. We understand that not everybody can maybe do that, but if you can, we ask that you do. We'll let you stay even without it, but it's a really good thing for us to have on file. That's, like I said, the doctor signature portion. And then just real quick, those signatures are good until the last day of the 12th month after your doctor has signed it. So if your doctor signed your form on June 9th of last year, that form is good until June 30 of this year, that Part C portion of it, if you elect to do that. All right, your AMHR, all parts must have been updated within the past 12 months, must be signed by a parent or guardian, and these will be reviewed by the camp health officer and kept on file in the health lodge during your stay here. Again, for this year, just like last, that review will happen in your campsite. And then, of course, if you need more guidance on these forms, all of this information is in the leader's guide, and you can also email questions directly to me. I'm more than happy to answer those questions. Real quick, will scouts that have turned 6 and be going into the first grade be considered lions or tigers? If you're going into the first grade, you're considered a tiger, and they may stay overnight. If somebody is going into kindergarten, they are a lion, and they may come for the day, but they can't be here overnight. And that can be kind of problematic. We're a ways out, but if you want to bring your lions for the day and take them home every night, we will welcome you to do that. He's back. Okay, medication at camp. There's a couple of changes in here, and we're going to work with you when you get here regardless, but I'm going to go over these. National camping standards require that all prescription drugs be kept in locked storage. A limited amount of medication can be carried by a scout or that scout's leader or parent for life-threatening things. Maybe you're allergic to bees or nuts or what have you, and you need an EpiPen. Maybe you have a heart medication that you have to keep on your person. Maybe you have asthma or something similar and you need an inhaler for emergencies. Those things are fine to keep on your person. Everything else, we try to keep in a locked. Well, we'll let you check out a lockbox for those things above that you can keep on you. That would be like for at night when you're sleeping. You can put those things away where you know you're safe. And we ask that all other medications be checked in with the health officer. That's new. We used to just kind of let everything stay, but policy has changed. Now, if you have an extenuating circumstance where you feel that that's detrimental and you can't, please let me know and we'll see what we can work out. But we want to have medications checked in with the health officer. We'd like to have these placed in a bag with the owner of the medication, whoever it is that's taking it. We want their name and their pack number on that bag. And then these meds would be administered at the health lodge during med calls throughout the day. So our health officer will need inside that bag with those medications written detailed dosage and timing instructions so that he knows when to do call for that individual. Let me know if we have any questions anytime. Aiden, my question and answer screen disappeared. Okay. When it comes to medications that come to camp, they have to be in their original pharmacy issued or manufacturer packaging for OTC stuff. And prescription medication must be current. It needs to clearly display the patient's name and the doctor's name on a pre-printed pharmacy label that displays the pharmacy information. We can't allow medication into camp that doesn't meet those requirements. You are totally okay to bring along only the amount of medication that's needed for the time that the person is in camp and leave the rest at home. But what you bring's got to be packaged like we talked about in that last bullet point. A lot of people will do that to avoid a child or whoever losing expensive medication, but don't do the opposite thing and bring a baggie of loose pills and leave the original packaging at home. We won't be able to do anything with medication that comes to us like that. All right. Do we have any questions about any of that?
Nope.
Nope. Perfect. And if you have them, feel free to email me. Like I said,
one just popped up. Is the med rule for both adults and kids?
It is. The rule has less to do with who's taking it and more to do about the medication being on the property.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's if it could be accessed by somebody, it needs to be locked up so that they're not able to access it if they don't need it.
Yeah, we understand it can be frustrating. We're adults. We can take care of ourselves. I get it. I have to follow the policies as set forth by the BSA. Again, if you want to talk more about that, you can email me, shoot me a phone number. I'll call you if you'd like to talk about it on the phone. I'm more than happy to help where I can. All right. If we have an emergency, if you see something happen while you're in camp, if somebody's hurt, whatever it may be, notify any staff member you see of an emergency. They know what to do. All the area leadership here at camp carry two-way radios. They'll notify our office. And then we also have contact numbers posted at the office in the window for any kind of middle of the night emergency. If you feel that you need to call 911, if the emergency you're involved in, if you feel it warrants that, we're not going to tell you not to call EMS. Please do. Time is of the essence. But if you call 911, we have to have you notify one of the posted emergency contacts or a staff member that's nearby right away. Let them know that you've called 911, what the location of the problem is, what the nature of the problem is, and we will go ahead and we'll get assistance out to you, and our staff will guide EMS into the location where the problem is at. We have an entire emergency mobilization plan in camp for large emergencies. We will share information on how that works with you when you get here to camp. And so be prepared for that. That will happen on day one, right before the lunch meal. We'll share that information. All right, a little bit about health and sanitation. Our teams go ahead and clean and disinfect our restrooms and showers at regular intervals throughout every day. We want you to have clean facilities. If you're here and you see that they are not up to your standard, please let us know right away. We'll make sure that it's taken care of. We clean the accommodations, so campsite cabins and things like that. We do that prior to each session. We ask that you be responsible and help the kids be responsible for keeping their areas and their campsites and all of that clean during their session. Again, food prep areas are restricted to catering company employees with proper training and credentials. And then we ask that you please assist us in encouraging proper hand washing before all meals and after kids use the restroom. Our bathrooms all have sinks with hot soap and water, or hot water and soap. Wow, I'm batting 1,000 tonight. In the middle of our restroom buildings is a bank of 5 or 6 sinks, I think, where kids can do that as right before they head off to the dining hall for their meal. Outside the dining hall is a smaller hand washing sink where kids can do that. Again, hot water, soap, that's all available. Please help us help these kids stay clean and stay healthy while they're here at camp. All right. I'm going to move into adults in camp, which is kind of leadership and all of that. Every pack must be under the leadership of at least 2 registered adult leaders, 21 years of age or over. Now, we realize that a lot of folks sign up just their family. Please know that we pay attention to the pack number that you list, whether you sign up as a pack or as a family, and we try to group members of the same pack all together. So within that group of people coming from the pack, as long as that rule is met with at least 2 registered leaders, we should be good. It does require more. I'm going to skip a bullet real quick. The minimum ratio is 2 registered adults for 8 scouts, and then 1 additional registered adult for each additional 4 scouts. This is important when program ends and you're in the campsite for the night, but throughout the day, the staff counts as registered leaders, so it's easy to meet those ratios throughout the day. We'll skip back to bullet point number 1. All adults accompanying a scouting unit to overnight activities must be registered with BSA. Now, in Cub Scouts, they have made a specific exception. Unregistered parents of Cub Scouts can attend with their child, provided that that minimum ratio is met. And then, of course, we need a registered female leader out of that group if it is a group that serves female youth. A parent may share a tent with their own child or children, but no other children that are not their own may occupy that same tent. And that's only true in Cub Scouting. When you get to where you're crossing over into Scouts BSA, that changes. In Scouts BSA, that is not allowed. But in Cub Scouts, we're good. Unregistered parents attending with their scout and sharing a cabin with others must have, at minimum, taken the online youth protection training. That training is free on my.scouting.com or .org. So a lot of times what will happen is we've got big groups, we have a limited amount of cabins, people want to share a cabin, that's fine. We can have unregistered parents in the cabin, but the group in the cabin must be single gender. 2 registered leaders must also be present in that cabin. And in addition to those 2 registered leaders, there must be a minimum count of 4 scouts. Our cabins sleep a total of 8 people. So really, effectively, there's only room for 1 scout/unregistered parent pair per cabin after those minimum requirements are met. Hopefully that explains it. Again, this is very confusing stuff. There are many, many, many rules. I'm happy to help walk you through it if you email or call me. It's all in the name of keeping kids safe, though. And so we want to do our best to follow those rules. All right. There must be at least 2 registered leaders present anytime there is an interaction between unregistered parents and children in camp who are not their own children. Again, during the day, there's enough of us around. That won't be an issue. This is an evening thing after day program has ended that we want to be aware of. Ooh, in an effort to make figuring out sleeping arrangements easier, we strongly recommend and ask that all adults, registered or otherwise, who are going to attend Camp Excalibur, please visit this site, my.scouting.org, and take the free online youth protection training course. Bring that certificate along with you to camp if you're unregistered. If you're registered, I can verify that in our systems, but if it's a parent who's unregistered, have them bring that form with them. If we can get every adult coming to camp to do this, it takes about, I think it's about 90 minutes or so. If we can get every adult who's coming to do that youth protection training, it makes arranging everybody and who can sleep where that much easier. You can take that course whether you're registered or not. And again, it doesn't cost anything. We have a limited number of cabins, so some participants will need to sleep in tents. So we recommend that packs bring along a tent or two of their own in the event that the available tents are not enough to fit everybody into a sleeping space and follow all the rules. It's an incredibly challenging puzzle. So having extra tents to create extra sleeping spaces oftentimes helps get the job done. And then again, each campsite has plenty of room to pitch personal tents. And we'll have people out there helping you to kind of arrange who can sleep where and helping kind of follow these guidelines and guide you through it if you're new. We want to make sure that we're successful at that and that you are too. All right, just like I promised, reporting special needs. These needs should be reported to us through your registration within the Tentaroo system. This is where you signed up and where you have paid or are making payments on camp. You'll navigate to seattlebsa.tentaroo.com and log in with your username and password. You'll need to ask a PAC coordinator to do this for you if they registered you. But if you did it yourself, or if you're a PAC coordinator, once you're logged in from that home screen, click on your camp registration. It looks like this in the red circle. You'll click there, and then you scroll to the bottom of the page where you will find the participant section. Youth will be listed on top, and underneath that, adults are listed. These names don't look clickable, but they are. If you don't see any names, please call me or work with your coordinator, or if you know how to do it. If you don't see any names, it means that you haven't assigned names to your reserved spots. Incidentally, if we can get everybody to assign names to their spots, that helps because it creates rosters for us. Anyway, you see the names, click the name of the person who has a special accommodation. You click their name, and when you click their name, it brings you to this screen. From this screen, you'll click the Manage Registration button, circled in red there. And when you click that, you'll get a drop down, and you click Edit Registration from the drop down. Once you've done that, you're going to come to this page, and at the bottom is the section where you can enter these needs. And once you've done this, it's going to go ahead and it's going to report them to us on our attendance roster. There's a slider for serious allergies, another for dietary restrictions, and then the additional info box. After you've flipped these sliders, one or both, you can do either, or you can do them all, or you can do none. But in the additional info, type details about what it is, if it's an allergy, what's the allergy? If it's a food restriction, what are you restricted from? What are your needs? If you need a CPAP, go ahead and pop that in this box. Whether or not you flip the little switches on top doesn't matter. You can put anything in here. Once you have that all in, click Next. Then you'll click next again, and it will be saved. And if you have more, you can move on to the next person and follow that procedure again. I know I went through that a little bit quick. That information, all of it, the screenshots and everything are also in the leader's guide. So you'll have that at your fingertips and you'll be able to report that to us. Oh, a little bit about the trading post. We added contactless payment in 2021. So we do swipe, dip, and tap. We also take cash and check. At the trading post, we have all kinds of stuff: snacks, beverages, memorabilia, camping gear, Excalibur t-shirts for purchase. I'm working with a vendor to set up a pre-sale ahead of camp so that you can order and pay for your t-shirts ahead, and they'll be here when you get here. We should have that done in at most a couple of weeks. We're still working on that. And then this year we'll have a limited edition Camp Edward 10th anniversary items. Camp Edward opened in 2014, and in 2024 it's Camp Edward's 10th anniversary summer, and there's a whole bunch more. Also, we have a trading post set up down at the craft lodge for convenience. When you're down there, you can purchase any additional craft kits right there on site, and you can start working on them right away. Every child that comes to camp gets one kit that has to do with our theme as part of your fees, but there's all kinds of stuff that we have down there that you can purchase and build and make and paint, all kinds of cool stuff. All right, some things to remember. Ethan, I'm getting a dry throat. Can you go through this with them?
Of course. For those, of course, who didn't see me join in late, my name's Ethan. I'm the assistant program director. But so some things to remember when we're here at Camp Edward is, of course, number one, the Scout law is the law of our camp, right? So making sure we're listening and abiding to that, and making sure we're just following all the principles that you should be doing as a Scout. And of course, to have fun, right? We at Camp Edward want to make sure that we provide the most fun experience for you guys. So just making sure that all the Scouts are having a great time is really important. Sandals are only permitted at the waterfront, that being a open-toed shoe, right? So only at the waterfront. You can't do a walk from your campsite to the beach with sandals. Please just change into them when you're actually at the waterfront. We have nice, cool, brand new changing stations down there, so it should be relatively quick and painless to take off your shoes and switch into sandals. After a recent summer after summer, it's been getting warm these past couple of summers. So make sure we're bringing lots of water. Make sure your Scouts are bringing water, and we will make sure to be encouraging all of our Scouts throughout the week to also be drinking water, because dehydration is a big thing up here. Buddy system is also really important. I don't know if Don covered buddy system earlier, but just make sure that we're keeping buddies of at least two to three, single gendered, and just make sure they have a buddy at all times while walking around camp. Bug spray, also super important. Mosquitoes are a big deal up here, and of course sunscreen. Oh, we don't want any nice nasty sunburns. And then let me read this one. All right, and then skipping down one, bring some hand sanitizer is always a great thing to bring here at Camp Edward. Kids carry a lot of germs, and it's just great to try to avoid any unnecessary sicknesses. And
we carry germs too.
Yes, true. We do carry germs, so we are always washing our hands. And then, of course, just remember to please report any of your special needs or other needs on the tender reform at least 14 days prior to your arrival. I think Don just went over, so just make sure we have all of that figured out.
Yeah. Real quick, I wanted to add on to the buddy system thing. He's correct. Buddy groups, 2 or 3, have to all be the same gender. They should be no more than 2 years apart in age. Adult/child buddy pairs are not allowed, the exception being a parent and their own child within the Cub Scout program. If they want to go to the trading post, the kids, they need to have a buddy. If they want to go to the shower and use the shower facility, they need to have a buddy. One can be in while one waits outside. Not a problem. Anywhere they go in camp, they need to have a buddy. Cool. All right. Talk real quick about getting here and mail. There's actually a map with detailed written instructions in that leader's guide in case you've got folks that don't have access to GPS or anything like that. That's kind of why we put that in there. But our address for Camp Edward is 25600 Monroe Camp Road, Snohomish, Washington, 98290. And then we put GPS coordinates in there if your phone's taking you to somewhere weird. Our mailing address is the same. With Camp Edward, camper's name, pack number, and then the address. And I have this little blurb at the bottom. If you want to send letters and postcards, awesome. Send those through the United States Postal Service. But they are not real reliable on packages here to camp. They used to drop them off at the little corner store as a courtesy. That's right out there at the end of Monroe Camp Road. They no longer do that. And we have limited space in our mailbox that we share those parcel lockers with all of our neighbors. So what happens is they leave us a slip or 15 slips or whatever it might be to let us know that we have packages. And then we have to go pick those up at the post office, which is half an hour in each direction from camp. We try to get down there as soon as we can, but we don't always have somebody who can run to the post office every single day. And we don't want your scouts to miss getting their packages. So our suggestion is that if you're going to send a package, a parcel, maybe whatever it may be, cookies, candy, goodies, whatever, send packages, parcels through FedEx or UPS. Those are delivered right to our office here at camp without fail. We never have a problem. Just something to kind of be aware of. But yeah, letters, postcards, postal service, fine. Packages, try to use FedEx or UPS. Let your family and friends and folks that would send the kids something while they're here know that information. We've had several people have packages show up after they're gone because they were delayed by the postal service or because we had to run down there and pick stuff up and we couldn't get there in time. Okay. Finally, we are nationally accredited Cub Scout long-term camp. Our last accreditation visitation was last summer. If you are here during session 1, you get the joy and privilege of seeing our National Camp Accreditation Program representatives come as a visitation team, and they check through everything we do here. There is a book this thick of rules that we have to follow, a great big notebook. They cover everything from food to facilities to health and safety to program, you name it. And they come out and they go through that entire book, all of our administrative documentation, government permits, all that stuff. They verify that it's all up to date. And then they go around and they visit the camp and they go to all the areas and they make sure that we are running our programs in accordance with the standard that the Boy Scouts of America has for the quality of their programs. So very important thing, kind of an honor to be an accredited camp. So again, if you're here during session 1, you're going to get to see that happen. And that is it. Want to close with a sincere, heartfelt thank you for choosing Camp Edward and Camp Excalibur in 2024. It is 7:59. We'll give 2 minutes for any questions that may pop up, and then we're going to go ahead and call it an evening. Oh, you guys are welcome. Very, very, very welcome. Got a few thank yous. Again, know that if you come up with a question after the fact, you can email any of the 3 of us, and we are happy to do whatever we can to make your preparation easier, to make your visit the best it can be. Your husband and son, if your pack is not coming, yes, they absolutely can come alone. Give the council office a call or go on Tentaroo and you can register that way. If you have trouble registering, Melissa downtown can help you get registered for camp. So your husband and son can absolutely come on their own. Another minute. Yeah, very, very welcome. Ready? I have 8:01. So we're going to go ahead and close the leaders meeting. Thank you for being here. Have a wonderful evening. Guys, I'm going to kill the meeting. Have a good night. Thanks for being here.
Have a good one.
All right. Take care.